Welcome to the SMB Community Podcast with hosts Amy Babinchek, James Kernan, and Carl Polachek. Produced by Kernan Consulting and for the international MSP community. We are dedicated to making every IT professional a successful IT professional. Hey everybody, welcome back to the SMB Community Podcast. This is James Kernan with Kernan Consulting. I'm here with my good friend, Miss Amy Babinchek. Hey, Amy, welcome.
Good morning, James. Good morning.
Morning. Good to see you.
Good. I'm glad to hear your voice is back.
Yeah, it is a miracle. It is a miracle. I was pretty faint on last week's podcast, and then lucky me, I got invited to speak to one of Amy's groups later that afternoon, right?
Right. Yep.
And
Same, no voice.
yes, same no voice. I was struggling, and then my voice pretty much went out Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it came back on Thursday morning, just in time for me to MC the mastermind event last Thursday, Friday down in Dallas. So anyway, it's good to be back. I'll just say that. Good to be back. You know, it's always fun traveling, seeing people. We had a great event last week, but I'm feeling a lot better, and that's good news. That's good news. Well, hey, we got lots to cover today. Are you ready to dig into it?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. So why don't we start with a question of the week? I thought this was really interesting. We got a couple different ones that came in, but the first one, we're going to stick with this one. And it sounds like a new employee was hired at an MSP. And their question that came in said, hey, can I still be a leader even though I'm just a level 1 tech? Can I still be a leader even though I'm a level 1 tech? I don't know the context behind this, or I don't really know the background, but what's your response on that, Amy?
My response is absolutely you can be. That's how you get promoted,
Yeah.
right? So that's how you're gonna really, show and stand out by being a leader, bringing in some new ideas. You do have to be a little bit careful though when you're that new person on the job, right? Not to step on too many toes, but once you've been there for a little bit, you want to show your talents, right? You want to bring in new ideas, you want to bring in new processes, you want to make suggestions. Take on volunteer to take on new opportunities. These are the things that get you noticed and help you move up in your career.
Yeah. I completely agree with what you said. Leadership is an opportunity for all of us, regardless of what your title is on the org chart, regardless of the authority or the power. And just simple leadership tips would be, you can be an encourager. You can share positivity. You can be helpful and be that servant heart leader like we talk about. You can be a lead by example type of person and do things other people don't want to do. And, it's funny. This reminds me back when I played college football way back in the olden days. I remember my junior year, the defensive coordinator came over and grabbed a handful of probably 4 or 5 of us and said, hey, all the seniors graduated and we need some of you underclassmen to start stepping up now as leaders on the team and demonstrate some leadership. We need some more leadership out here. And it was like right in the beginning of summer camp, coming into the beginning of the year. And I remember that like it was just yesterday. And I remember thinking to myself, now don't laugh at me. Don't laugh at me, Amy. But I remember thinking, I go, well, what does he mean leadership? How can I be a leader on the football field? What did he mean? Or, I thought I knew, but then it was like, well, what could I do? What could I do to be a leader? And I remember thinking it was like, you know what? Instead of me concentrating on what I'm supposed to do, I'm going to be an encourager and help cheerlead everybody else, and I was always an emotional player anyway, or vocal. And, but, I was, clapping for other players and kind of cheering things along. And I would try to be more vocal, out there to help people. But those were some of the things early on to me that helped me. And fortunately, I was elected captain that year and my senior year. But I think that little speech from the defensive coach kind of really helped me out because I maybe wasn't so vocal, up until that point. And you know, I don't know, just reminded me the importance of encouragement in the workplace. Especially in the channel in as MSPs. What we do is hard. It's really hard, especially on Mondays. Customers are complaining and tickets are coming in, and it's a strenuous job in the channel, and you kind of get it from all angles, from a negativity or complaints. And when you hear positive things, that means a lot. So just remember that's an important thing to do.
Yeah, that reminds me, in my MSP, we made use of the praise feature in Teams because we
Oh.
communicated in Teams a lot. We had a water cooler thing. And so anytime you notice that, somebody handled a customer really well and appropriately, solved a
Mhm.
problem, helped you out on a task, we would jump in there and submit one of these little praise comments, and teams would surface that with a nice little graphic. And so, that's just a real easy way to acknowledge that there are other people around you. So
Mhm.
acknowledging and sharing are the two ways that you can really exhibit leadership.
Yeah. Yep. I love that. That's good. Hey, before we got started, you were kind of talking about a newsworthy item that I thought was interesting that came out of the insurance industry journal about
Mhm.
ransomware. Why don't you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so, the insurance industry is always looking at risk and how to minimize their risk, and they want to understand our industry because they're providing cyber insurance. And so they went through, and this is the insurance journal, and we've got a link for that to you in the show notes too, guys. They went through and take a look at the claims that they're making to see if there were any patterns as to where these ransomware attacks were originating from, like, how were they getting in? And, they found some stuff I found really interesting. The number one place that ransomware attacks originate their access through is the firewall.
Wow.
So the perimeter, the firewall being the weak link in your company, weaker than the staff clicking on something. It
That's amazing because that's always the thing I hear most MSPs say that they feel is the most secure, and they're the most knowledgeable on. So
well, they may be the most knowledgeable on it, but it was built-in weaknesses in the firewalls, and we're talking, prominent firewalls, Cisco,
yeah.
Gannett, others out there. Those 2 were specifically named, and so, um, really interesting. The second most common one was VPN, and the third most common one will surprise nobody, I hope, was RDP. So, your firewall, your VPN, your RDP, it was all about perimeter security. And, um, so we're gonna get a lot of feedback about this because 'cause I'm about to throw something out there that's really controversial. You should
Do it, do it, do it, do it.
get rid of your perimeter.
Mm. Yeah,
Don't have one. That's really super controversial, right? Companies that have gone all cloud don't have a perimeter.
yeah.
Companies that have not gone all cloud have this perimeter, but it turns out it's the weakest thing you've got.
Hmm.
So, work toward getting rid of that perimeter. Having that infrastructure inside the business protected by this device is making you a target.
Yeah, you're
And
sitting.
that came through really clearly in this research that was done by the Cyber Journal. So, that was my controversial moment for the day, and, I know a few people are railing in the background if they're listening to this right now because, it is so contrary to the way that
Right.
we were all brought up in the industry, with perimeter security. Um, perimeter is not our friend anymore.
Yeah. No, and it makes complete sense, and I agree with you, and I know our listeners are gonna have a thing to say, so, hey, reach out anytime on this topic or any other topics that you wanna talk about. Email me at james@kernonconsulting.com, and, I'm happy to bring this up, and we'll continue to chat about this because it's, I know some people are gonna agree, some are gonna disagree, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. So we'll end on a little funny note. I was reading something else about an RDP, breach that happened, and, I said, I'm gonna have to change the phrase. We've been using the phrase, "It's always DNS" for years and years and years. I said, "I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna make a new T-shirt that says, 'It's always RDP.'"
It's always RDP.
Oh, always RDP. You were hacked? Oh, it was RDP, right?
That's true. Yep, yep, I see that. How funny. Well, hey, this is no surprise. 23andMe is back in the news, not for hack 1, not for hack 2. They're filing bankruptcy, Chapter 11, and, they're announcing a sale of the business. So, now the real question is, like we've talked about all the time, where is our data safe? What's gonna happen to our data on that?
Right. Well, just because the data gets sold doesn't mean the privacy regulations change.
Mhm.
So there's that. I have seen quite a bit of hysteria around this idea. Remember, it's not just 23andMe we're talking about. 23andMe does all of the DNA processing for all of the ancestry and all of the genealogical research companies. So you don't have to be a 23andMe customer to have data out there with them.
Right.
Right. So I'll say I've been a fan of 23andMe. It's leading edge technology. So um, you know, I I'm interested to see what's going to happen. I guess I'm when I agreed to give my DNA, I kind of had in my head that I didn't really care where it went, right?
Right.
If I think about it, a lot of people have my DNA if they really want it, right? I give blood samples to my doctors in the medical system that we're part of, and they're hacked all the time. So,
Yeah.
so it's out there if anybody wants it. The reason that I was a member of 23andMe is I love the scientific research component of that company. They
Mhm.
didn't find a way to make enough money with it.
Mhm.
Now the founder of that company is looking to take it private, and she made an offer which the board refused first time around. And now she is now on that board. She's stepped down from the CEO position, is now on that board, and said she plans to make a new offer to take the company private. So
Interesting.
we'll see what happens. Definitely an ongoing developing story for sure, and one that many people are concerned about.
Yeah. Yeah, there's over 15 million customers that they had that I know are concerned about it, but, the real question is, I was concerned about that type of data, people's, medical history or their genetic structure being leaked out to the insurance companies. And then them having the ability of like, "Oh, nope, you're a candidate for cancer." The likelihood of that is far greater than other people. So, nope, we're not gonna insure you. I was always worried about that, but we'll see where that lands. And I love the tool as well. I know I've done that, and some of the family members, it was always a great Christmas gift. But, I did it more for the family tree information to learn more about the our background and try to connect all the dots on the history of my family.
Yeah, it's always really fascinating. I did it because to me it was like donating my body to science, except I get to watch the science happen in real time. So, but the genetic enhancements to our knowledge in the medical industry has just been huge, and we're starting to see the benefits from that. So even, whatever happens with 23andMe, I don't think it's gonna change anything really about the trajectory of medicine and down that genetic pathway.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there was another article that kind of segues into the event last week in Dallas, the mastermind event, but it was really an article about AI, and it was talking about who's winning the AI arms race. And, it really highlighted the 3 top companies, OpenAI, DeepSeek, and Google. Most of the article was really about that, but I don't know how you feel about that. To me, like, who gives a flying hoot? I don't care who's leading. They're all important, and I think they all matter, when you look at the big context, because there's, new technologies dropping every single day. So what are your thoughts on that?
I'm with you, I don't care.
Yeah.
I love everything that's happening with AI and, so exciting new technology that always draws me in. And I am trying is a bunch of things and, playing with it. I think what I am doing and what you're doing is the same thing that these big companies are doing, only on a different scale.
Right.
Out there, they're playing with it, they're trying to figure it out, they're trying to position themselves for a future that nobody knows what the future is, but they're trying to get themselves into position. So, you know, maybe it's interesting on a macro scale, I don't know, but I'm not super excited to read articles about who's leading because I think it's way too early for that. Somebody who isn't doing anything about AI would be more interesting to me than all these companies that are. And since I'm on a roll for controversial statements today, I'll make another one. Um, I think I I think there's too much investment in new data centers for AI. Here's why I think that. I think this whole thing about AI using massive amounts of power is going to be short-lived.
Mhm.
Technology advances, and there's huge incentive to reduce the cost of what it takes to run these AIs.
True, yeah.
So we're kind of seen this path happening in the cryptocurrency world. You know,
Mhm.
the cost to mine new bitcoins, was so
Yeah, went
expensive.
way down.
It's gone way, way down, and the new coins that are coming out do not have that kind of dependency. They're finding other ways to verify the existence of new coins without having to generate so much use of power, and I think the AI is gonna be the same way. So, all this investment, announcements of new AI data centers, I wonder how much of that is a lot of bluff and bluster, again, large businesses, positioning themselves and trying to out-position their competitors by saying, "Oh, you're gonna do 100 billion, or we're gonna do 500 billion in new data centers," and maybe they never actually happen because technology advances and we don't need that scale of data centers just for AI.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, continuing the AI theme, it's really funny. I'm super bummed that you missed the last mastermind event down in Dallas, but I wanted to highlight just a couple things because you would have geeked out with all of us, and again, you're much more technical than I am, but I loved it because it was such a hands-on experience. But the theme of the event was supposed to be AI and compliance. We had a lot of speakers talking about both. And it's obviously a business builder, it's a business growth event where we also talk a lot about sales and marketing, but we kinda started right out the keynote right out of the gate was a marketing session where it talked about the top 20 AI tools for marketing, and then how to use those.
Mhm.
And you rarely see this, but most of the AI sessions that I watched were all interactive, where they were doing live demonstrations. They were kind of pulling it up, and I love that. I know you present that same way, creating documents on the fly with AI. Uh, but that was cool. So it was like AI tools for marketing. We actually had a really good session on legacy planning. I always call that the missing chapter in everybody's business plan. What's your exit plan or succession plan? That was really cool. And then they kind of went into investments in cryptocurrency, and then also precious metals. There was a big discussion on precious metals, and that's a hot thing for people. There was another live demonstration on just some cool AI tools, similar to what you and I talked about last week. But all of these were live demonstrations, and I should put the link up in the show notes. It was hilarious. One of them was about James Kernan, and it was a rap song on Kernan Consulting, and it he it was an AI generated rap song, and he shared the lyrics and shared the song, and I don't think I've ever laughed so hard. We're talking about James Kernan with the playbook, and it but we did a lot of AI stuff, and then and then training your team, different training platforms, because a lot of our listeners, are going through and learning more about these tools and kind of playing with them themselves, but their teams aren't. And that was something we talked a lot about, training your team on AI. So anyway, hopefully we'll get you at the next event, and you would have loved all the demos that people were doing on these different AI tools. I didn't realize it was so AI heavy until the end of the event. It's like, wow, I should have just called this, AI Central or something.
Yeah, it's almost hard for an event not to be AI heavy right now, because
Yeah.
every AI is at the forefront of every application and every solution currently. So yeah, it's a I don't know, it's a fun time to be in tech, I think. We're at the beginning of a new technological wave, and
Mhm.
it's always a fun place to be.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of great events coming up here, coming into the spring and early summer. So, hopefully I'll run into you at one. Hey, and so that was it from an article standpoint, but I've got one last question for you before I let you go,
Mhm.
and I'm asking for a friend, but, when is opening season for your boat?
My boat is launching on May 1st.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
So I'm starting to get excited. I took a little mini road trip and went up and visited the boat and saw that having a little bit of fiberglass work done, just a little surface stuff. And so a guy was there working on it. So got to chat with him, and yeah, getting anxious. I'm starting to feel the bug.
I I am too, and that's why I had to ask. I'm getting a couple little repairs done on the boat, but yeah, we're probably about 4 weeks out ourselves, and, the weather's certainly changing. Just even coming back from Dallas, I was gone for, what, 4 or 5 days, and a lot of my trees all have buds on them, the bushes, and it's like, "Wow, I missed some good weather."
Yeah, you can see it. It was 70 degrees here yesterday, and but we're still expecting some couple days of cool wet, starting to bounce, right? Couple days in the 40s, couple days in the upper 60s, 70, then back down. It's typical spring, but when that happens, spring is here, and like you said, everything's starting to bud out, so it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. All right. All right, everybody. Amy, so good to see you. Thanks for catching up. And that is it for the SMB Community Podcast. We're signing out. We'll see everybody next week. Thank you for tuning in to the SMB Community Podcast. If you found this interesting or fun, please subscribe, share with your friends, and give us a thumbs up on your favorite social media. We would love to hear from you, so reach out anytime on the website at smbcommunitypodcast.com.